Today's program is with Jon Bakken. Jon is a classical cellist, jazz bassist, songwriter, composer, and elementary strings teacher from Brookings. He is also the creator of Tiger Beat, a zine and website about South Dakota albums, which is being collected in hardcover editions in summer 2024. Bakken recently released his debut folk rock album, Return to the City of Afterwall, and an EP of songs from an upcoming musical theater collaboration with Eliza Blue, The Grass Widow. Jon Bakken.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I am so thankful you're here. You have like so many cooler places you could be than listening to me talk. There are so many exciting things happening today, but you chose to be here, and for that I am ever thankful. Today we're going to talk about South Dakota music. It is kind of a passion project of mine for the last few years, but before I get too far into it, I'm going to bring you back 1 month from today to the Democratic National Convention, where the roll call featured musical salute to each state. Did you know this? As the Democratic National Convention was bringing out each congregation, whatever you call it, each convention, they were playing songs in tribute to their home states, which is so cool. So Minnesota came out and they were rocking Kiss by Prince, who was, of course, born in Minnesota, lived in Minnesota, even when he got famous and died in Minnesota. Texas had Beyonce with her big hit this year, Texas Hold'em. There was fun things like, I didn't know the Killers were from Nevada. So you get to learn that, like, cool, this, like, giant millennial anthem, right? Mr. Brightside, one of the biggest, like, millennial obsessed songs ever. They're from Nevada. I didn't know that. They're from Las Vegas. And then the South Dakota delegation comes out, and we get the Romantics playing What I Like About You, a band from Detroit. Right? I mean, it's a banger. What I Like About You. You know all that, right? It's a great song. But it's not our song, right? And does that matter? That's the big question. Does that matter? I think so. It's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity, right? To celebrate what we have here. And could you imagine if they had picked a little-known artist that had a great song, the exposure that artist would have got? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's unfortunate. I wish they would have called me, right? I wish they would have called me. I could have told them, like, 27 different options, okay? Hey, did you all get the handout? I'm going to grab a little handout. These are hot off the presses. I just went to, thank you. I teach at Camelot here in town. It's the 4th and 5th grade intermediate school. I tried going 2 other places beforehand, and then I ended up just printing these at school. Thank you, tax dollars. So I'm going to pay the secretary back. Anyway, I just printed these right before walking in. Hot off the presses. You can make your own zine. Look at, I put it, you can, I'm giving you options to like draw here. If you have a pen or a pencil, you can fill in some stuff as I present today, so I'll let you kind of have some fun with that if you want. This is a zine, if you're wondering. It's just printer paper and, where's my staple? My wife was doing an awesome job stapling things. It was stapled together by this cool stapler. Look at this cool stapler. I waited a long time to bite the bullet and spend $30 on a stapler, but you just fold it, and then it's a perfect, you can get the staple right on the binding. How cool is that, right? So anyway, that's how this whole zine was put together. When I was making it, at least in the rough draft form, I would use that. So anyway, I also have some information in here that we'll talk about later. But for now, you can have some fun with that. Okay, I'm going on. This is the question and answer part for all y'all. At this very second, I was just having a great conversation here. Who are your favorite South Dakota musicians? Do you guys have any that come to mind? Chris Gage?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not familiar with him.
Texas, no.
Lives in Austin, but grew up here?
He grew up in Pierre.
In Pierre?
Yeah.
Chris Gage, okay, cool.
He was with the Red Band.
Red Willow Band?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know Red Willow Band, sure, very cool. Anybody have any other ones? Yeah. Yeah, Union Grove Pickers is great. I went to their big album release show down in Sioux Falls. They're so fun. Yeah, I don't think they play anymore, right? I don't think they're around anymore. Yeah, I think so. Jamie Lynn, that's an artist that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but she was covered in my magazine. By the way, this is the book. You're literally some of the first people to lay your eyes upon this book. I just got it from a printer in Nebraska this week. This collects the 8 zines that I put out over 2021 to 2023. Jamie Lynn was one of my first big interviews right here. Boom. Jamie Lynn, best South Dakota albums. I interviewed Jamie Lynn all about her amazing album, Fall is a Good Time to Die. And then my favorite part about the zine is at the end of each article, each of the artists recommends their favorite albums. So there's 50 different articles here about 50 different albums, actually more than 50 because some of them have multiple. And then when you like include all of their recommendations, there's over 200 some albums to get you listening, get you excited about South Dakota music. Okay, those were some great answers. Does anybody else have anybody they want to shout out? Yeah.
Laura Jean Binkley.
Hey, what?
My sister-in-law.
Is a musician?
Yeah.
Goes by her name?
Well, she's not from South Dakota anymore, but she
Grew up here.
Yeah. And some of the artists in the book are that same way. Like I interviewed Eric Holm.
Fun
Eric
fact.
Holm. I was just going to say Eric Holm.
Yeah, Eric Holm, bestie Eric, you know Eric.
Yeah, I've gotten to play with Eric a number of times, yeah.
Laura and I were friends before Steve and I knew each other.
Aww.
So, but she moved to New York, and then she's in Vermont.
Cool.
She's done a lot on the East Coast. Yeah, she's an amazing musician.
Way cool. Way cool.
All the babies are.
When you, exactly, yeah. I don't doubt it.
The family Christmas with like the spoons and the.
No way, really? That's amazing. One of the questions, and this is just more out of my curiosity, when you think about your favorite South Dakota musicians, how did you first learn about them? Through, hey, come on, stop it. That's nice.
Stockman's Bar.
You saw him at the bar?
Stockman's Bar.
Absolutely. Yes. That's amazing. Anybody else remember like the first time you heard one of these artists, like a Jamie Lynn? The folk festival, the Sioux River Folk Festival. Yeah.
Only ska band in South Dakota done the.
Yeah, they're so good. I know, I gotta talk to them. I love them. It's an interesting question, right? I try to ask my students this sometimes, like when you hear a song for the first time, where are you hearing it? And it's interesting the answers that they have now. You know, a lot of times it's from families, but like nobody really listens to the radio anymore. It's all algorithmic Spotify stuff. So it's interesting how somebody who might not be popping up on these algorithms can get exposed, right? So interesting questions to think about. Different ways that you can find out about new South Dakota musicians. I just heard a few cool ideas. Hopefully you can check out my website, tigerbeatmusic.com. Hopefully you can follow like cool venues that often support South Dakota musicians, like Full Circle Book Co-op, like the Madison Area Arts Council. This is the dude. Give a hand right here. Chris Francis is amazing. He runs the Madison Area Arts Council. If you're not following them, they do the most incredible things supporting local musicians. I've gotten to play there. I've like thrown some artists his way that like.
Bring John's friends in.
A friend will send me a text like, we're trying to play on your side of the state. Is there anywhere in Brookings? I'm like, I don't know about Brookings, but I can talk to Madison Area Arts Council. Does anybody know anybody that owns a space in Brookings that wants to have weird music, by the way? I don't know. We could do stuff here. Blue Stem does like once a month. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Got a good thing going.
They do have a cool, yeah, I know. I agree.
I live in Colorado. People have house concerts.
Oh, yeah, house parties, house concerts. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And it's
Goodrich is, yeah, it's great.
quiet. You can actually hear the artist.
That's nice. That's nice. Oh, well, those are just a few things I wanted to kind of think about as we get into the rest of the presentation here. How long do I have? 2:45? Oh, I got plenty of time.
Keep the energy up.
I'm working on it. I'm going to now talk about a couple of different artists. One who's on the cover of my book, Buddy Redbow. Anybody familiar with the artist Buddy Redbow? There is a great documentary just called Redbow that STPB made just a couple years ago. Fantastic. When the Native American Music Association Music Awards, NAMA, they call it the NAMMYs, Native American Music Awards, when they were founded in 1998, there was 2 people inducted that first year into their Hall of Fame. It was Jimi Hendrix, and it was Buddy Redbow. And I think it's a crime that not more people know about him, so I'm going to use my platform as much as I can to get the word out about Buddy Redbow, okay? And it's nothing against the people. Hey, it's nothing against us for not knowing about him. This is an excerpt from the documentary, and also it's in the book. This is just screenshotted from my website. This is kind of how the book is set up, by the way. It's an oral history, so it's a lot of interviews. I did a bunch of interviews, and if people have passed away like Buddy Redbow, I would look for interviews. Can I just read this through? He put out this album, Journey to the Spirit World. We want as many of the songs in the album to be played on as many radio stations as possible. I need to get on top so I can get some money-making stuff. Promoting the album means knocking on a lot of doors, getting the foot in, telling our story. This is tough work. Sometimes I get misquoted. It really sets me back. For instance, One TV announcer said, I was the only Indian recording artist, and that just isn't true. There are many fine Indian recording artists trying to break in the field. You just don't hear about them, which is kind of what we're talking about, right? How are people getting their name out when they live in, he grew up in Red Shirt Table right outside of the Badlands, right? How is he going to get into these bigger spaces, right? I've been trying to make a great success a long time, and it's been a struggle. Dick Darnell was the producer of his album and did a lot of instrumentation with it too. Dick Darnell said about that, I thought for sure that there were some songs that would get on that country radio would play. We got rejected, we got rejected, we got rejected. That was a brick wall. I'll never forget the program director in Vermilion. Can't remember the station, but he was the first one to say to me, I got enough of my own problems. I don't have time for the Indian problem. No matter how tough it gets, Buddy Redbow says, you never stop following those dreams. Without them, your life is not worth living. And not long after he put out this album and it didn't get any traction, he drunk himself to death, which is a shame, so these are the questions. It may sound like, does it matter? Doesn't matter that these people aren't getting exposed to them? Absolutely, right? Can I play you somebody, Redbow? Can we just take 5 minutes and listen to, I'm going to take 5 minutes out of my 45-minute presentation because I think it's worth it. This is the first 5 minutes of this album, Journey to the Spirit World, who just celebrated its 40th anniversary last year.
What year did he die?
Oh, geez, it was around then. Yeah, it might have been the late 80s. He might have. I'm trying to remember the chronology. There might have been one more album after it. I should know that off the top of my head, but. Okay, here's the first 5 minutes or so of this album. It's worth celebrating, right? Yeah, unbelievable. I interviewed his daughter, Stardust. The rights to his music right now are with Dick Darnell, who's the producer, and so they're working on getting it more available. It's not on streaming or anything right now. You can find it on YouTube. Somebody's just kind of uploaded the whole LP if you want to listen to more.
What was the original label?
Tatanka Records. So it says at the bottom. I think it was just him and Dick Darnell kind of putting some stuff out.
They cut the vinyl, or what they do?
It is on vinyl. I found the vinyl on eBay, so you can find it. You can find it around. Yeah, and it has a really nice, cool booklet too that comes with it. So yeah, and he has a couple other great albums. One's just called BRB, and I'm blanking on the name of the other one right now. But unbelievable. Spread the word. They're amazing. I'm going to I'm going to skip talking about Evan Lyle Jensen for right now. I don't want to talk too much about me, but just if you're curious, I'm Jon Bakken. Grew up in the Twin Cities. Went to college in Iowa where I met my wife. Hi, Sarah. And she grew up in Hartford, South Dakota. So when love happens, you follow your love, right? So I graduated with a degree in playing cello. And then when we got married, we moved to Mobridge with my cello degree. So my first job out of college, luckily, fortunately, unfortunately, South Dakota has a great teacher shortage. So the town next to Mobridge had gone through 4 choir teachers in 4 years, and they were desperate, so they hired me to teach preschool through 12th grade music. Did that for a couple years until the job here in Brookings opened up about 12 years ago. That's where I'm at. Been teaching beginning strings, 4th and 5th grade. And then the zine. What's a zine? We already kind of talked about that. It's just you print it yourself, you staple it yourself, and you get it out there. You can get your ideas out quick and cheap. One of my favorite zines, I just want to give a shout out, big inspirations for me, is called Skullmore out of Sioux Falls. Really, really cool, just kind of art zine by Les Cotton and Mark Wagner. I mean, come on, that's just cool, right? So these came out around 2010 or so, and I remember seeing them talk at Total Drag Record Shop, and that really made an impression on me. So story of Tiger Meat itself. I put out an album, and it was not great, but it was weird. But in like 2020, I put it out. I had been recording some songs, and I had been drawing some comics for the lyrics pages. So it was like in this little teeny pizza box with like comic books and a CDR that I burned, and a bunch of stickers on the outside that were printed here at Clean Slate. Woo! Clean Slate Design and Print. Anyway, I put that out in 2020, and when I put it out, I was like, I wonder who else put out stuff in 2020. I feel like I don't hear about it. So I started like Google searching and couldn't find anything, right? There was no resources. Started calling around to different shops, like record shops and performance venues, and a lot of people there were like, well, it's 2020, it's kind of a weird year, nobody really put out anything, and I was like, okay, that's totally fair. It's 2020, the world's ending. But at the same time, I had put out an album, so it was one of those things of like, well, I did. I can't be the only one who's holed up at their house and like making stuff, you know what I'm saying? So then I decided I just needed to start focusing on that, just more out of pure curiosity, because by that time I had lived in South Dakota for about 10 years, and I only knew like, on one hand, a number of South Dakota artists, especially being in Selby, being in smaller towns, it was hard to come across. So I started doing some digging. There's a website called Bandcamp where you can actually filter by state, which is kind of cool. So Bandcamp it's like a Spotify. It's more like an old school iTunes where it's tons and tons of artists, and you can actually purchase their music right there. So they make a little bit of money versus a Spotify where it's like stream my album 1,000 times and I might make 12 cents, right? Versus like a Bandcamp, it's more direct and you can actually make a little bit of money. So I started filtering that, found some cool people. I found out that STPB, of course, is amazing, right? And so that I had kind of started scrolling through some interviews with Lori Walsh and found some new people. I walked the halls of South Dakota State University and saw one of the professors there had I just released a really cool experimental flute album. She had a glissando flute. Tammy Evans-Yance, she's back in town now. She's teaching in Volga. She was gone for a while. But yeah, she plays the glissando flute, so you play a flute and you can go like a trombone. So she put out an amazing, incredibly experimental album called, what is it called? Dreams, something about ice, because she was a Georgian that moved to South Dakota. Dreams Grow Like Slow Ice was what she called that. Very, very cool. So that came out that same year. So once I found about 6 I started calling people and say, hey, I want to make this magazine. Can you tell me about your album? And then what I ended up doing was in Zoom, which of course was like big in 2020, I figured out you could record it. And then I figured out eventually you could transcribe the recording. So it would get like a pretty good rough, that I could go through and fix all the errors and stuff. And that would get me a nice kind of oral history of our conversation. So that's basically the whole zine. And like I said, then I always ask, what's your favorites? The next part of this conversation, I should say actually, I put out 8 zines from 21 to 23. This is a full color book, and it's kind of cool. It's hard to see, but if you look, you can see, can you see where it's like orange on each side? I kind of printed it like full color so you can see, there's issue 1, there's issue 2, there's issue 3. So I'm going to go through right now and just talk up a bunch of artists. Is that okay? Okay? I'll play some music. I'll talk up a bunch of artists that I found out. Jamie Lynn was my first, before the magazine even existed. I was like, hi, you don't know me? I think you're amazing. You're one of the few South Dakota artists that I've just kind of learned about in my time here. Would you want to talk about your album? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. And I literally leapt out of my chair and did like a leprechaun heel hap. I remember just being like, she said yes. Why is she saying yes? This is not a thing that even exists. Jamie Lynn's got a fantastic 2015 album called Fall is a Good Time to Die. It's her last kind of folk album. She's put out some jazz collaborations. Hi, Eliza. She's put out some jazz collaborations with cool people like the JAS Quintet and Andrew Reinhardt's and stuff. I'm going to play you just a little bit. Has anyone heard Jamie Lynn before? Raise your hand if you've heard Jamie Lynn. Oh, there's some hands on it. Okay, I'm going to play you one of my favorite songs, just a snippet. It's called God Out on the Plains. She's from Spearfish. She grew up near here, a little bit close to Watertown. Now she lives in Spearfish on a hobby farm. She's the guitarist. She also plays banjo. Dalton Coffey is playing a dobro. He's one of the most amazing musicians you'll hear. He's actually the recording artist too, the guy playing kind of that slidey guitar. I just want to get to the dobro solo because it's mind-melting. Come on, right? It's so good! And he keeps going. It just makes you cry, okay? I saw her perform at the Children's Museum. She came, what year was that? It was before the pandemic, right? She and Dalton, the dobro player, came up, and it was the only time I've ever cried in concert. It was straight up that moment right there when Dalton starts soloing. I'm just like, can't even right now. It was, yeah, there was not a lot of people there. She probably did not think it was worth her time, but I thought it was worth her time. Thanks, Jamie. I got to talk to a lot of native rap artists. One of the first interviews I did was a guy named Bazil. I'm going to talk about his in just a second. Let me see if I can. Here's Bazil. A lot of times he performs in this kind of face paint. He was who I would consider kind of South Dakota's greatest living rapper right now. He's also a producer. Rage Rock Boy is just a rapper. He's not, I shouldn't say just a rapper. He's a rapper, but not a producer. He's a school board president in Kyle, South Dakota. He was. Now I think he moved to Rapid City. I've been trying to keep tabs on him, but are you okay if there's a couple swears? Is that okay? I'm sorry. Sorry about that. If you're offended, I'm very sorry. I can't remember if there's many swears. But this is Rage Rock Boy. He, like I said, Kyle, South Dakota, which I found is a pretty big hotbed of really, really cool talent in our state. Take a listen to this.
Back like a vertebrae, true fans how to motivate, haters saying private, no way, all I got is a pocket full of poetry, power, poor, pitiful, villages, pillaging victims, hooligans, and criminals. fellas flow gross, now. First year projected 6 figures. All these lame MCs, toys, action figures, acting bigger, really, for really, you ain't chillin', bunch of softies, for real. Dumb it down, you on the mic, it's a bummer, even in your hometown. Fuck that, I never will. Never learn to back down, I hold like you back down. My pack food for guns, vicious, when we walk in town suspicious. You and your whole crowd, season with the guns down, curly hair in front of me.
Anyway, it's amazing. Very cool, like internal rhymes and stuff. He's actually coming to the South Dakota Art Museum shortly, because he's a visual artist as well, really well known. He had giant murals up in downtown Minneapolis. Hey. So I can't remember. I should. Let me get that date real quick. Rock Boy. He's coming, for those of you, it's called That's How I Roll is the name of his show, and it's going to be October 4th. Ray Janice is his actual name, Ray Janice. He'll have an artist reception on Friday in Brookings here. Friday, October 4th, I should say. Okay, moving on. I do not have a recording of this. I don't know if there is a recording of this. I can only find like one German YouTube posting of this. But Zikala Shah grew up in the Yankton Reservation. She's known for lots of things, and one minor part of her amazing resume is that she wrote the first native opera. She's an unfortunate victim of the boarding school system, so she lived in South Dakota until she was about 8, and then got pulled across the country away from her family. But she grew up to be a huge activist against Indian schools. So I wish I don't have the recording right now, but it's called the Sundance Opera. It was performed first in 1913. It was a collaboration between a white composer and her. So she was also a fiddle player. She had learned when she went to these boarding schools, so she figured out how to kind of play some of her traditional melodies on the fiddle, and they kind of tried to meet halfway in those different worlds of music. Incredible story if you don't know Zikala Shah. Also goes by the name Gertrude Simmons Bonin. Amazing. Hometown boy. Eric Holm from Brookings. Woo! Yeah! I've gotten to play with Eric a couple times at the Levitt. He's a beautiful person. He writes radical queer country music. I'm going to play you a snippet of his self-titled album. This is called Queer Kids in Red States. This was recorded in New York. He lived in New York at the time. Come on. It's great. That's Eric Holm. Is that you? Is that you? She made the album art. Whoa! Give her a round of applause. Hailey Pegleg. No way. I love that. Oh my God, you're so cool. Stop it. Okay, moving on. Is this boring? Are you entertained? Okay. It's like, if I'm just standing there playing music, is that worth their time? Probably. Okay, Purple Honey. It's about the only all-female band I could find. So I needed to lift that up. More than that, though, it's incredible music. More than that, one person in particular, Natasha Edelweiss is the name she goes by, is a like a promoter and kind of concert organizer, DIY show. A lot of times, she ran a short-lived group called the Cave Collective in Rapid City, where they like used to just put on shows in an actual cave, and then the law started sniffing around, and they decided to like make it legit. And it unfortunately kind of fell apart when her marriage fell apart, but she's very cool, and she's making it happen again. She's working with a new venue, and she kind of tells a story in there of her personal experience in Rapid City is that it's been a bunch of women kind of holding up this DIY scene. So she's kind of trying to carry this torch that a woman before her who had moved away left vacant. So here is a cool song by Purple Honey called Tonight. This is from about 5 years ago, 2019. Love that vibe. Love that vibe. Next, this is probably when I was interviewing hip-hop artists around the state. This album popped up almost more than any other, so it's respected by a lot of folks. Wico 334 lives in Rapid City now. He's also a artist, visual artist, and does like screen printing. For a while, he had like a screen printing shop at the mall where he'd do some cool stuff. He went to France and collaborated over there with some recording artists. So there's this song called My Day, which is an absolute bop. I'm going to play you. He does the first verse, and then another South Dakota artist named Gunnar Jules does kind of the singing part, and then there's a French artist named Hassan Yang that lays down a verse in French, and it's like, oh, so good. DNC walking out to this? You know what I mean? That gets the party started, right? Can I play the French verse quick? Unstoppable, unstoppable. There's so much joy there. Wake Singers, Rapid City. Kind of a family band-ish. It's like brothers and cousins. Side note, I found out when I interviewed them, their grandpa painted this art for Buddy Redbow, which is a cool tie-in. But yeah, the Wake Singers are incredible. STBB has a great live video with them if you want to check out more of them. Let's see, they're only on Bandcamp. I just saw them post that they're going to be on all the streaming very soon. Let me see if I can find a good Wake Singers track. No. What's a good one? I didn't think ahead here. I'm just going to do the first song, I think. Wait. Oh, no, this one. The last name is Two Bulls. Reed, she's the singer. Doug, Two Bulls, I think is his cousin, guitar player. She's got this incredible, rich alto that you don't hear very often.
Look good when you take your selfie. You said you found my energy funny. Looking on to your right. You said you were dissociated from everyone.
Oh, there's so much music I want to share. I'm going to go on. They're great. Love them. They have that one album out. I got to talk quick about Bazil. I only have about 5 minutes left, I know. But I got to talk quick about Talon, Bazil Ducheneau. Incredible rapper. He's also a producer, so he makes the backup tracks to his songs. He also is the head recording artist at the brand shiny new Oglala Lakota Art Space, which is in Kyle, South Dakota. It is gorgeous. I went out to Rapid City. When was that? Was that the fall? June last summer. And I swung down on the way. And it's gorgeous. It's so cool. And he is so cool. I'm going to play you, this is off this album, Taku Shni, which means no one. The whole album, he's kind of talking about how I'm a nobody. And he's just a great, he's just got a great voice. This is called Native Babylon. He grew up in the town of Bad Nation, South Dakota. He's got another great song on this, Ghost Plant. Just to tie in some Zikala Shah, he wrote, there was a time in the news when there was coming to light all these mass graves at these Indian boarding schools, and he wrote an incredible response to all that. Well, I probably shouldn't play another song of his. He's so good. I'm just going to go real quick through a few more before I wrap up here. Carrion Crawlers, they're out of Kyle as well. A real garage punky, just like in your face. Their anthem is "We're from the land of nothing," and it's just so good. Russ Stedman, Home Taper. I kind of covered his newest album, which came out in 2022, and I covered one of his first albums from 1987. Grew up in Mitchell, South Dakota. Loved home taping, so just recording himself on his little cassette tapes and swapping tapes with people all over the country and getting reviews there. Myron Lee and the Caddies. If y'all aren't familiar, he traveled with Dick Clark in their American Bandstand when they would tour the country. He was like their house band, and he has an amazing, he has some originals. This whole album, which was kind of produced by the South Dakota Rock and Roll Music Hall of Fame, includes the song Homicide, which is a real like 50s rock song about drag racing a UFO, which is like the coolest concept ever. I love that. Oh, hey, look who it is. Oh, it's my friend Eliza, who's going to speak next. Hey, Eliza. She's amazing. Listen to South Dakota 1st of May. Kevin Locke was the last article I wrote. He passed away just a few years ago. If you're not familiar, he was responsible for kind of resurrecting the North American flute, keeping those tunes alive and those techniques of performing alive. This was recorded on the Standing Rock Indian Reservation, right not far from Mobridge, where we lived when we first moved to South Dakota. I only have a couple more minutes. I learned a lot along the way. I don't need to get too into it. This has been so fun. Project difficulties. My biggest gripe was this is an interview-centric project, so there was people that I wanted to include in the magazine that were like, no, I don't want to be in your magazine. But I'm like, but you're really cool. I want you in it. And I couldn't figure out how to like make an article out of nothing. But you know, you can't control that. But there's some really great stuff that wasn't included. What's next for Tag Me? Just a couple of fun updates. I just talked with Lori Walsh. She wants to do like a big hour-long episode of the Best of 2024, which you can find on the back page of your... Did everybody get a handout? If you didn't get a handout, make sure you get the handout. This right here, I'll show you a slide, but we're going to go through these songs and probably more, or these albums and probably more in December. Look for that. Also, this is brand new breaking news, y'all. I got this email, and I've been exchanging, and I have it all packed up. I got an email from the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. They shot me a message. Hi, John. Colleague at the South Dakota Center for the Book, which I think is connected to the Humanities Council. Is that right? Suggested I get in touch with you, working for the blah, blah, blah. We're trying to grow a little zine collection. They're going to have a thing called the 50 States of Zines, and they want my zines in Washington, D.C. Come on! How fun is that? So I put them all in a box, and I'm going to send them out and see what happens there. So that's fun. Real quick, I know I'm out of time, but I just thought, hey, as long as I got your ear, here are 6 music-related books that I really like. Rest is Noise, giant retrospective of 20th century classical music. Mind-blowing, making this wild experimental music seem human, okay? Meet Me in the Bathroom is like 2000s New York, like the Strokes and that kind of stuff. Please Kill Me is an oral history of punk music. These 2 I had read right before I started the zine. That's why I kind of did it in an oral history style, similar to how those books are written. 3 more books. When Genres Collide was a really, really fun read, all about the oldest jazz magazine called Downbeat, and how that had prominence for a long time. And then Rolling Stone came out and how that had prominence and how they kind of were against each other, kind of, and like what is art and what is commercial and all those kind of conversations. Major Labels is really cool. Talks about, you know, some of the most popular genres in history. Biggest recommendation I could give you for other people, I've been reading this nonstop. This dude is reviewing every single Billboard #1 hit from the 50s to now. Right now, he's currently in like the 2010s, and he puts one out every Monday, and it's a joy. This is just a book collection of that. I put this up here, the best albums that I think that I've found so far in 2024. I'll let you kind of explore those. Well, If Hooks for Hands, Sioux Falls Band, really, really fun. Rich Show, he was famous for like No Direction and Violet. He actually recorded in Prince's studio back in the 90s. He's amazing. He has like a folk album out. Alex Massa has an amazing album about water rights and water protectors. It's a jazz album and it's a live album, so it's like really cool, fun stuff out of Rapid. Cloverfield's out of Sioux Falls. Mato Waiuhi wrote the music for Reservation Dogs, which is one of the most heralded shows of the past 4 or 5 years, right? He's from Sioux Falls. He has a brand new album out this year. The WO Recording Studio Compilation Volume 1, you can find that on Bandcamp. This is Bazille's studio in Kyle, South Dakota. It is a huge retrospective of like 30 different artists from the area that they've gotten through the Oglala Lakota art space this year. Riff Lord, heavy, headbanging stuff, fun. Diaphane, coming soon to the Madison Area Arts Council. In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. They're at some queer country, really, really fun, cool stuff. Plague Pitted Moon, another Rapid City group, real kind of doomy, sludgy. Dawson Dane is a dude from Kyle, South Dakota, real kind of R&B, beautiful stuff. I gotta stop. You're all amazing. Do you have any questions before I say bye? I have books for sale. I'm not making a profit. $40. $40 for a book. It's full color. It's shiny pages. If you want a book, I got a bunch of them. Thank you.
Where can you find
Yes.
listen to the music?
Where can you listen to which music? To all the music?
Yeah.
If you go to tigermeatmusic.com, which is on the back page there, I have links to all these things. You can all of the albums that we talked about today are linked, and you can find links to listen to their music there if you want to keep exploring. Rachel?
Where else can you buy the book? Like, can you buy it?
I will soon. So for right now, like literally, you're the first people to be able to buy the book. So congratulations to you. It will be. It's for sale in the OLPAC in the Performing Arts Center. They have a stack there. I'll be signing later. Otherwise, if I have any left after this weekend, I'll put them up on that targetmusic.com. If you have buyer's remorse because you didn't buy one when you had the chance right now, you can get it then. But buy it now if you want to. Thank you. Sorry, you're amazing. Thank you.